Hi, friends.
He's doing a new thing.
We're doing a beat today. Beat, wine, and therapy. We need to do a basic beat because this girl never knows what she want. But no, she no.
Oh,
She want the gunmetal.
The gunmetal. Just want one thing.
We're tired of the gunmetal.
All the time. It's my favorite.
We're tired of the gunmetal.
Okay, perfect.
We're gonna do something basic. So, sanitize and hold on. Bling blow. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So, what I like to do, I don't like that cake makeup. So,
Cake makeup. No one wants to be casket sharp on tonight.
no.
Not too soon.
And don't nobody want no clown brows. Okay? No clown brows. So, Tania, how's your day been, Tania?
Today has been amazing.
Amazing day.
Amazing. It's peaceful. It's beautiful outside.
Very beautiful. Tell the people about yourself a little bit, Tania.
Well, currently, before pre-pandemic, I'm a preschool teacher, and I'm also in grad school to get my master's in
Come on, Greg.
counseling psychology with a concentration in clinical mental health. And what I want to do with that is I just want to travel the world and give a good word. So, mental health is so frowned upon, especially in the African American community. So we need to start talking more about that and getting proper help for our people and letting them know that it's okay to seek help when you're not okay. And it's okay to not be okay.
Yes, I'm not okay right now because I just dropped all the stuff on the floor. But go ahead. Tell the people about mental health in the African American community.
I believe it stems from back in the day. We're grounded in our faith. We're grounded in Christianity and religion, just so people would think like, okay, there's nothing wrong with that girl, that boy. Just go pray about it. Go to God. Don't tell nobody. What happens in the house stays in the house. Yeah. Pray and get over it. And that's the problem. There's so many secrets going on within families, within the homes, and children are being brought up just thinking like, okay, it has to stay in the four walls of my home and I gotta pray and then I'm cured. But that's not the case.
So we'll make sure she's still there.
But that's not the case. Sometimes it's okay to have Jesus and a therapist. Sometimes you need something deeper than just a prayer. And some people chemically have an imbalance and they need either medication or just to talk it through and help them process it and help them, exist properly and healthily in this world.
So, as far as like the older adults, do you think the older adults, being as though the generation has changed, a lot of older adults are taking care of grandkids and more open to talking to things now. So do you think that stigma of African American older adults trying to keep things secret or only keeping things in the house, do you think there's more progress for more of that openness to happen, where they're more open to talk about things and not trying to just keep it in the household?
I mean, I believe that there's hope for anyone if there's awareness brought to it. But if no one around them is aware of, mental health and what it can do to a family and do to a person, I don't feel like they'll be able to step out of that comfort zone and talk about whatever it is that's going on. But I do believe that there is more awareness nowadays regarding mental health. And especially during this pandemic and coming out of this, everyone is going to need to talk to someone about this because your life has stopped. Everyone now has a new normal. And no matter if we're making it through and we're happy and, we're adjusting, it still does something to you mentally. It affects your anxiety and things like that. But I think us now in this generation that we have to advocate for it. We have to bring light to it and share it with those that are so closed-minded, because how do you find out about anything? Word of mouth. Social media is amazing for things like that when you use it properly. So I feel like it can be a change, and the stigma has to be broken. It just has to be.
So do you think that can even happen in like the churches, where they can have like more outreach as far as the mental health goes, and have like certain meetings, just like how they have Bible study, and you have the kids had a little vacation Bible school. Now, do you think they can have like a mental health awareness week?
I think they should. It can happen, because I even now, just even in my church, and just now since we're stuck in the house, just streaming different services online. Like I hear a lot of pastors talking about mental health and what you can do where you're not feeling okay. So I think since we're so like, oh, okay, Jesus solves it all, but if the church steps up, the leaders of the church step up and say to their congregation, it is fine to have Jesus and a therapist, and you can do X, Y, and Z if you need the help. They can have, they can have different forums. They can have different therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors, whatever you want to call it, come out and speak to the congregation once, the world returns. But even if not, certain pastors can live stream and go, or get on Zoom or live or whatever on social media, so that their congregation knows. A lot of it is ignorance, because people don't know what it is. People think that, okay, if I had a traumatic experience, if I was sexually abused, or I was neglected, or I was put up for adoption, or I was abandoned by my family, then maybe I need to go to therapy. Trauma is not just something so detrimental. Trauma can be anything.
Right.
Your first heartbreak and where that leads you. So that's a traumatic experience within itself. So it doesn't have to be something so deep that you like, okay, I can't bounce back from this, so then let me talk to someone. No, it could be the smallest thing. You getting fired from your job, and if it messes with you mentally, you can go and talk to someone about it, and there's no shame in your game. Like, when we're feeling sick, we say, oh, I'm about to go to the doctor. I think I have the flu. But when it comes to talking about, oh, I'm going to see my therapist, it's like, hush, hush, I don't want to tell anybody. And that's the stigma around it, and that's the shame that society has put on to people.
Right.
Because people are so worried about how they're viewed by everyone else. But all that matters is how you look at yourself. And how can you show up in the world if you're not okay mentally? Your mental state affects everything that's going on around you, with your relationships with your family, your friends, your co-workers, and even your relationship with yourself, and even your relationship with God. Like, it's wild. But the more that we talk about it, the better off it will be. The more that people will understand, and it's okay. And it's okay, like I said earlier, it's okay not to be okay. But it's just, what are you going to do when you're not okay? How are you going to step forward?
I think a lot of people don't know how to deal with their own emotions, and that they don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to function properly. And it just allows them to shut down because they don't know how to process certain things, because they weren't taught. They were just taught to, especially men.
Right.
Men were just taught to not be crybabies. Don't cry. Don't be saying this and don't be saying that. Just go ahead and deal with it. And I think that has a lot to do with how the suicide with men, because they were told not to really express their emotions. Oh, don't do this, don't do that. Oh, you a faggot if you acting like this,
right,
and this and that.
And that's more like on the I guess the stigma, the stereotype on gender roles. So if as a young child, you're a man, or boy rather, and you're brought up like, okay, you got to play basketball, you got to do sports, you got to be tough, you got to be fight, you got to protect your mom, your sisters, your wife. You can't cry, you can't talk about how you feel. So as an adult, we go through things. So what are they supposed to do? Where's their outlet? they just think like, dang, I'm a man, so I'm gonna have to suck it in, I'm gonna have to mask it and keep going with life. There's only so much that someone can deal with until they break. And if they don't have that strong support system, if they don't have that solid foundation to know, like, if you're not okay, you can come to me, you can cry, you can express yourself, then they use it and just go far left. So whether that's suicide or that's drugs or is sex or is being on the street, like, people use a lot of different things to cope with whatever it is that they're feeling.
I think a lot of like alcoholism too. Since they did a study on that, saying it's hereditary now. And that causes a lot of issues as well with your mental health. Because how you ever going to cope with anything if all you do is go to a bottle?
Right.
A bottle can't solve everything. You're going to have to sit with yourself. This was opportune time to sit with yourself. To figure out what's wrong with you, where to go forward, how to get help, and actually just research. Do a lot of research. I'm a researcher. I'm a whole nerd.
Oh, we know. We know.
I'm a certified nerd, okay?
Research. Read. Study.
I read everything. I study. I be so engrossed in the things. Like I said, I'm a Virgo, if you didn't see at my past videos, I'm a Virgo, so yeah, I be in my bag. I definitely be in my bag. But I just thank God for clarity. You know, a lot of things be going on, but you can't understand until you have solitude. You can't process a lot of things until you're by yourself.
That's true.
And a lot of people can't be by themselves because they don't know how to be. They're scared to be by themselves. They always think they need somebody. You don't need nobody.
You really don't.
You don't need nobody.
And I feel a lot of that comes from, like, how can you sit with yourself if you don't know yourself? Yeah. So many people are so used to pretending to be something that they're not in order to fit in. Right. So, you know, you always have a mask on, and a lot of people, even when they're on by themselves, they still have that mask on. So it's so much easier to be somebody else. You can just put on this mask and just think like, oh, I'm the cool kid, I do this, I do that, I'm on the streets, I'm into such and such and such and such. It takes real strength and real, like, bravery to take off the mask and embrace all that you are. And that also comes with spending time alone. Like, for instance, you know, this pandemic has done a lot for me mentally, and it just put me in a different space, and it just made me realize like how grateful I am. And even when I feel certain things, I love being by myself. I love going to dinner alone, the movies, concerts, shopping, road trips, whatever it is. But sometimes I would use those alone outings to escape. So now it's like things aren't open, so I can't sit and have lunch by myself. I can't sit and go have a drink by myself. So now I was forced to sit and deal with whatever it was that I was feeling. Some days it got dark, some days it got ugly, but I sat there and I spoke out loud to the things that I felt I was, or the things that I thought I was experiencing or going through. And me, I'm a spiritual person, so the things that I said out loud, I was told the truth about. So, you know, it's helping me to learn myself more and to understand myself even better. But it takes being brave and wanting to know who you really are. And the moment that you know who you are and you can be by yourself, you show up into the world like totally different. And there's nothing that anyone can say to you that will hurt your feelings. And that's the problem. Like, people can say something to somebody and it breaks them down, and it just messes them up mentally and emotionally because they don't know who they are. So when you don't know who you are, you're believing everything that somebody says about you. You're not this and you're not that. You can't make it. No, I'm secure in all that I am. The good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent. So when somebody comes at me, no, that's not the truth, because I did the work. You have to do the work. You can't just sit here and think everything is going to be different. You got to do the work. And there's people out here to help you do the work when it gets too deep and it gets too dark.
If you're sitting with yourself, I mean, like really sitting with yourself and talking to yourself and be like, well, wow, when I went and I said this, when I went and I did this, that wasn't really what I wanted to do.
Right.
You know, a lot of people act on impulse. And then when it comes down to it, it wasn't really their decision. It was the decision of what somebody else wanted them to do.
Right.
And even with a simple text, somebody texts you, hey stranger, or long time no see, or whatever like that. Don't text them back. Don't text them back.
Because a lot of times, like, I think when people hit you with the, hey stranger, how you been, long time, like, you have to know that person and what they're about and what their motive is. People think it sounds so like, oh my goodness, so deep, but it really is that deep. Because 2-3 words are not 2-3 words when it is coming from somebody that's malicious. Right. That hey stranger turns into something else, like, oh, I miss you and this happened this way. It doesn't have to be romantic. It could just be a regular platonic friendship. Like, oh, this happened and I miss you, yada, yada, yada. The next thing you know, you're going back into the cycle. And that's the problem. We want to keep going in cycles. No, it's time to break these cycles. Stop going back to what hurt you. Stop going back to what broke you. Stop going back to what took you out of the character. Like, it's hard. It is hard. Like, you know, temptation, like, it's hard to deny your flesh and not give into it. But it's just like, what's more important, your peace or the bullcrap that you went through with that person, or going round and going round and going round? It's not worth it.
Right. And I think it's when people get real comfortable with somebody, they allow things to happen. But if you keep allowing it, like, what are you really saying to yourself? You're doing yourself a disservice.
People are only going to treat you how you allowed them to.
Yeah, and a lot of people are not held accountable for their actions because people don't say nothing to them. Right. They'll just, you know, just keep dealing with whatever they do to them, which is not right. And what makes it bad on everybody else, because if you're not holding people accountable, how are they ever going to know that that's not something they're supposed to do?
That is so true. Because I think of, like, I have, you know, random talks about relationships with people. And for me, communication is major. Like, I'm 95% of the time, I know what I'm feeling, I know what I'm thinking, and I'm able to express those things, whether it makes that person feel uncomfortable or not. But communication is it's terrible. Like, people do not know how to communicate. They do not know how to express themselves. They do not know what they want. And, you know, I tell people, you know, when they get with somebody or they're getting to know someone and they're just like, I just want them to communicate. I just want them to tell me what it is that they're feeling. But if this man or this woman has gone 30-something years without communicating and have never been required to do so, knowing you within a year is not going to change that. No. Because people just sit up here and deal with everybody's crap because they don't want to go back to not wanting to be alone. Right. Listen, and it all comes from loving yourself. I love myself, so I love being alone. I'd rather be alone with a bunch of people. I'm like, no, I don't want to come because I just rather be by myself. It's not because I'm antisocial or I'm in the mood or I'm not okay. Like, sometimes you just need that time and you need that space. So you have to start telling people how they offended you. Because every encounter and, you know, that you have with someone and everybody that enters your life, everyone is not going to be permanent. Everyone is not here for forever. Like, everybody really serves a purpose and a season for your life. And sometimes people just come to you or are placed in your life for you to teach them something. So if you don't like something that somebody is doing, tell them that. Because at the end of the day, it's about yourself. And who's going to have you like you got you? Nobody. So what are you accepting it for?
Nobody.
Because at the end of the day, that person is going to leave you. It's not going to work because you guys are not equally yoked. And it's so for real. Like, you cannot just be with somebody that's not compatible. And no, I don't mean just love relationships. I mean your homegirl, your best friend, whatever. Your homeboy. it's not going to work.
Definitely not going to work. So, the big thing for me is the holding people accountable for their actions. And then, if I say something, they get offended. They get offended because nobody never called them on it.
Right.
And that's the type of person that I don't want to be around. If I'm coming to you and I'm saying something to you, obviously I care.
Right.
If I don't say anything to you and I just go ahead and let it be, that's when you need to get worried. Like, oh, yeah, she stopped talking to me. She ain't answering me no more.
Because I think everybody is so defensive. So when someone is telling, and it also depends on the other person's approach. Like, we have to be aware of how we say things to people. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Yeah. So if I'm, someone does something and I don't like it, I'm telling them that, but I make sure I'm coming to them, softly but firm, to let them know that, okay, I'm being nice, but I'm serious. But everybody is so defensive because they feel like it's an attack to their character.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not attacking your character. I'm just saying the behavior that you displayed, I do not like, and it makes me feel X, Y, and Z. But as soon as they hear you say, well, when you did, it's boom, wall up, shut down. She don't like me. He doesn't like me. They're attacking me. I'm this bad person. No. Who told you these things? It's like we go through life and we just have this certain story. But it's time for us to change the story. We have to start telling ourselves the truth. If you know deep down inside that something doesn't resonate with you, tell yourself a different story until you believe it. Like, there is so much power in the words that you speak. And you really have to start holding people accountable. Like, just stop dealing with stuff just because. Because at the end of the day, they're going to leave. It's not going to work. So,
well, what happens to the people that don't leave? They don't leave because they're scared to leave. They're scared to leave because they're in a situation where now they got things invested with somebody else. They got bills, they got a house, stuff like that. So what happens when that comes about? Where you feel like you stuck in the house because you got all these things with these people, with this person. So what happens there?
And that's the problem. They're just things.
Yeah.
They're just things. They're great things because we all need a house and a car, and we might not be financially stable to be on our own. But if these people just don't put things into motion in order to get out, they just want to stay. Exactly. Some type of twisted way, they want to be there because it's so comfortable. People just want to be comfortable, and they don't understand that the magic happens outside of the comfort zone, outside of it. That's when your life will change, when you start doing things that you're not used to doing. So if you're feeling uncomfortable and you're in this house with this person, you got to bust your butt to stack up that money so you have enough to move. It's going to be penny pinching. You might be living paycheck to paycheck, but once you're out, it's so much freedom in doing what is best for you. You just become a new person. It's such a weight lifted off of you. And if there's a will, there's a way. So yeah, you might be penny pinching for a year or two, but once you're straight, you're straight, and you're gonna be happy. There's no point in living in misery. Life is way too short. People are not waking up in the morning. So you want your last days to just be stressed and overwhelmed and feeling unappreciated and unloved and not happy? No.
No, that's not the way to live at all. And I think it's more so sad when people I talk to and they're in a situation and then they's like, well, I just gotta stay here for the kids.
No. Sorry.
The kids are not stupid. Kids know everything. Kids know everything. So every time you keep saying, oh, I gotta stay here for the kids, I can't leave here because my kid's here, you're doing your kids a disservice too. Because whenever you find their time to leave or whatever, and then it's talked about. And if I was a kid and my mom or my dad said, well, only reason why I stayed there that long because of you, don't put that burden on me. I would feel so bad.
Because then as a child, you feel that. You don't know how to process that. Like, oh, wow, they did this for me. I'm the reason my mother or my father is unhappy. It's me. That's how they internalize it, especially if they're younger. They don't know how. They're not secure enough yet or smart enough yet to be like, no, you stay because you don't put that on me.
Right.
But as a young child, you're just like, wow, that was because of me. I feel terrible. Maybe I shouldn't have been here. Maybe I shouldn't have been born. Like, kids can go that deep.
Right. And I just don't think when people say that, they're not thinking the future.
Mm-hmm.
They're thinking in the moment. You know, your kids are not going to be small forever. And you need to start thinking and embracing that. And then thinking about, okay, what am I doing? What am I exhibiting to my children? Mm-hmm. If I'm staying in this relationship with this man or this woman, and they know that sometimes I don't come home because I'm somewhere else doing something else that I want to do. And then when I am in the house, I'm distant. I'm somewhere else. I'm probably with my kids. I'm not even with that person. I'm just sitting with my kids. I'm not even dealing with that person. So what are you showing your kids? It's okay to live with somebody that you don't talk to, you don't interact with.
You love. You're showing your kids that you can settle for anything. And no, I don't have children, but I've been working with children forever in all types of different environments. Like, so I see the effects that it has on a child. Like, I've heard the stories. I've seen the emotion. Children as young as 4-year-old can tell me, like, oh, yeah, mommy didn't come home last night. Daddy didn't come home last night. Mommy's mad because daddy wasn't there. And mommy and daddy, they fought, and it makes me sad, and I'm scared. All for what?
Right.
For the sake of love? That's not love. That really isn't. That's just being complacent and settling.
I think it's more so settling. More so settling. People will just settle instead of just leaving where they at to go get, what they want. But do they think that they're not ready for, to leave? Do they think they don't have that, I guess, get up and go? That they could just get up and go and start something else new? Or, which happens a lot of time, they already set up where they want to go before they leave where they at. Mm. Because they can't have that in between. They gotta go from here to there.
Ooh, let's get into that. But even not with people with children, just people in general. If they don't want to be with somebody, they don't know. It goes back to not knowing how to be by yourself. So you're in this relationship that's not working, and you know it's not working. You know you're out of love. You know you don't want to be there, but you don't want to be by yourself. You don't want to be in that transition phase of just getting out of something and being by yourself, working through the emotions until you're okay enough to go to the next person. So then you're with this person, but you're cheating just to have something stable with somebody else, so that all right, when I'm ready to leave this person, I can hop up and this person will be there. Just so you don't have to spend that time by yourself.
Right. And
then at the end of the day, the way you got that person was wrong. So that's not going to work either.
Nope.
You can't just do something to somebody and just think that the outcome is going to be amazing. Y'all might rock for a couple years. Shoot, you might rock for 10 years. But whatever's done in the dark comes to light.
Right.
Karma's real.
So real. But that's why a lot of things fail, because people don't give that time in between leaving one situation to another situation. Because they're just so used to being with somebody. Like, when are you going to stop? Just stop, take time, find out who you are before you get with somebody else. It's just I'm saying it was just as easy as I'm saying it. But I know, no, I can't do that.
It's not easy. We're not saying that it's easy. It's not easy just to pick up and go, because it's a lot between that. But it's when you just hop from one person to the next, it's because you don't know yourself and you don't want to spend time by yourself. So with each of the people that you're with, you take something from them and that becomes a part of you. So you can get lost in every person that you're with when you don't know how to be by yourself. So you with Steve over here, you took everything that you were doing and dealing and holding on to with Steve, and you taking it over there and you putting it on Tyrone. So you're that broken, toxic person that you were with Steve, and so now Tyrone got to sit up here and deal with this, and he didn't ask for it. So who are you? Between A and B, where are you? Who are you? You don't know.
Right.
But because you're taking everything from that and dragging it along to that relationship, then you taking whatever you got from that relationship and you try to drag it on to the next. But eventually, you will break. You will get tired because there's so much going on. Get in the soul ties, people. Especially you laying down with these people and your soul is tied to something that is not good for you.
Come on now.
That is hard to break.
Come on now.
Come on, listen, y'all ain't ready.
They
not ready. They're not ready to dig deep. Because it's a scary place. Digging deep is scary and it's hard and it hurts. And sometimes you can beat yourself up like, why did I do this? Why did I do that? But it doesn't matter. As long as you're willing to do whatever you got to do to be free.